What's up, strongest men, women, and children from blocks all around the world? I am my block's strongest man, and tonight I have a 2-for-1, two great guests for you, Hailee Manipole and Matt McDougal.
Ciao, homie.
Welcome back to My Block's Strongest Man, where we bring strongman into the mainstream by discussing all of the latest strongman events in the greatest analytic detail that you'll find anywhere on YouTube. If you haven't done so yet, subscribe to this channel. Make sure to comment below whether you agree or disagree with my videos. I love the engagement, and I respond to every single comment. Now on to today's topic. So kind of rewinding a little bit back into your past, this is for both of you. Tell my audience something interesting about your roots, your upbringing, that you think would interest people.
You go first.
I grew up in a pretty weird mixed family. We were my dad was ethnically Jewish and Scottish. My mother is Acadian, which is French and Native American.
Okay.
We grew up in a pretty weird kind of house because you had a lot of like Native American Hebrew mixing, and so there's an episode. It's hard to phrase. There's a lot of, I suppose, spiritualism with things. And even with athletics growing up, there was a certain mindset that was to be taken with everything. You're not just playing a sport. You're doing something that represents your family, that represents your culture. You know, it's you have to present yourself a certain way in both the Hebrew culture and in the Suean culture. And so there's a lot of, I don't want to say pressure, but there's a no fail mentality growing up. And so as soon as I was 12 years old and I was playing basketball with my brother, and instead of shooting the basketball like this, I turned my elbow sideways and threw it like that. And as soon as my dad saw that, he said, "Well, you're done with basketball. You're going to throw a shot put," because that was the same motion. And it as soon as we decided we wanted to do anything, it was, you have to be the best. It didn't matter if you wanted to be a chemist. My brother was a chemist and he played water polo. Or if you want to be, you can be anything. You just have to be the best at it. So art, anything. So that was just how we grew up.
Wow. So did that present present opportunities for great vacations? Did you go to any of those places from your heritage, your multiple heritages?
So we went to Scotland when I was when I was 12, which was pretty cool for me. We went and saw the McDougal family castles, which, you know, it's certainly awesome to see.
Yeah.
From the native side of it, not really, but you know, it's you walk outside and you see the native side of it. So.
True. Yeah, Edinburgh's awesome. I was there with my wife some years ago, and I loved it.
Yeah. Scotland's cool.
Yeah.
I'm wanting to go back now because I feel like I can pick up and walk with the Dinny Stones. I feel like my grip is there, and I don't think there are any McDougals that have done the Dinny Stones, so that would be cool for me.
That would be cool. You going to go for Brian Shaw's record?
We'll get there.
Yep. See what happens. Hailee, how about you?
My household was pretty different. So my parents have always been, I'm so blessed with my parents and my upbringing. They've always been supportive. You know, I have been drawing since I could hold something in my hand, and they've always made sure I had a sketchbook. And you know, I often wonder how many people out there have a talent or a skill that they don't know about just because it was never nurtured or because it was squashed down even, and which happens a lot with the arts. You know, you're not going to make any money in that. You know, here's a computer or whatever it is, but it's always been, you know, you can do whatever you want, and you can do whatever you want. You can try whatever sport you want, and you can suck at them if you want, just don't quit. So, and I, my dad, so it's just me and my sister, 2 girls, and my dad always jokes, a buddy asking him, didn't you ever wish you had a son, or, someone you could throw a ball with or take fishing? And his response is, well, what makes you think I didn't do all that with my daughter? So, we went fishing and we played ball and everything, and everything was wide open. And my sister got on a horse and never left. And whereas I've kind of dipped my toes in everything. So I played every sport I could get my hands on. And in high school, I was a field hockey and a soccer player. And then once I got out of high school and wasn't playing team sports anymore, I was kind of steered in the direction of individualized stuff. And out of high school, it was pretty much just running. And my dad and I have run a marathon, and we run usually 2 races together every year. We've run the Monument Avenue 10K in Richmond for, other than this year because of COVID, 11 or 12 years straight, we've run that one. And so I was doing a lot of running, and then I got into powerlifting through a class I took at community college, and just kind of, as soon as I hit the weight room, it was all history from there. I just loved it. So, but I kept running, which is probably the most interesting thing about me as an athlete. I still run a sub 7-minute mile. Like, I'm still,
Oh, wow.
That's not very common in the strongman world. So
I would imagine. Yeah.
yeah. So I haven't given that up. But as far as my background and my roots, my dad's from Syracuse, New York, and my mom is from right here in Fredericksburg, Virginia area. So not quite as colorful, but
no, that's really interesting. I'm actually interested to know, because I ask questions about things I can't do. What does it take to build up to be able to run a marathon?
Oh, well, I've only done it once, and I have no desire to do it again. About the half marathon line is where I like to draw it. But my dad had run a few, and he usually does like a 12-week marathon specific training, and it's hours a week, and it's tough. I think he goes up to probably 22 miles in his training, which is, that's a 3-hour, depending on how fast you are, it's intense. But I think we ran the marathon. I say we ran it together, but he really beat me by like an hour and a half. But that was 2012. And since then, the farthest distance I've run is probably 15 miles. But it's a lot of work. It's a lot of time. And that's my dad's ground now. I don't really feel like doing a marathon again.
Yeah, fair enough. I can see that.
The difference is I actually went into the marathon in great half marathon shape. I was running a sub 2-hour half marathon, and I'm like, all right, well, I can slow my pace and muster through 26. And I hit mile 16, and willpower got me through the last 10, and that's about it. So, but it's definitely a whole different animal, and nothing to laugh at, for sure. It's tough.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So we kind of talked a little bit about family, other athletes and stuff like that. Who were your heroes growing up, and has that changed now? Is it any of the people we've mentioned so far, or somebody else?
My sister, for sure, is and always has been my hero. So we've been really close our whole lives. There's probably an area there when she was a teenager and I wasn't yet that we fought a lot. But other than that, I think she's the best businesswoman I know, and one of the strongest people I know. So I've always looked up to her, whether I've made it clear to her or not. But my sister for me.
Yeah. It was my dad for me. My dad actually passed away 51 weeks ago. So we're coming up on a year.
I'm sorry to hear that.
we grew up fairly poor, I want to say. But the man, he was a doctor in Hawaii. We couldn't afford to live in Hawaii. We moved here. He opened a business with his best friend. And for a long time, we were just dirt poor. I mean, we had nothing. And so growing up, I had nothing. And I got to watch my dad work like hell for years, to the point that he could afford to get a golf club membership and a country club membership and only work 2 days a week. And he worked so hard so that he could spend time with me and my brother. And so he had a lot of opportunities where he could have gone and made more money, but he chose to only work his schedule so he could come coach me, so he could come watch Michael's swim meets. So that was he was definitely the foundational guy for me. Also being the guy was a pro athlete, he was a business owner, he was a doctor. And so he was kind of the man. He was the man's man. If he wanted it, he would get it done. It didn't matter if it would kill him, he was going to have it. And so that mentality and that work ethic really stuck with me.
Yeah, that's a great story. My dad is my hero as well, and also passed away, but I'm a lot older than you, so my dad passed away back in '97. But same thing, like he was a blue collar worker. He did air conditioning and refrigeration repair, and he would take on side projects and work on them in the garage in the evening for a little extra money. And the story, I mean, he did so many great things with me, but the thing I'll never forget is he scrapped up his money for telescope parts, built a telescope so we could see Halley's Comet. Mm-hmm. And so, we had a terrace on the house, and we saw, I think that was 1986, we saw Halley's Comet, and kind of like that has become my lifelong dream, that if I live long enough, I'll get a telescope and see it with my kids, so yeah.
For sure.
So, but yeah, so kind of shifting gears from the mushy stuff, what is your favorite strongman event and why for both of you?
Ooh, it's probably is it the same one?
Yeah,
it's probably Husafell for both of us.
What is it?
The Husafell carry.
Husafell, okay.
For distance, yeah.
Has that preference changed over time, or it's always been that way?
Oh, I haven't. I've seen it at 2 of the 3 comps I've done so far. So the first, my novice show that I did, we had a 140 Husafell for distance, and I carried it like 700 feet or something.
Wow.
3 minutes. It was ridiculous. And then in Memphis, I had a 150 stone that I carried for like up and down a hill for 300, almost 400 feet. Yeah.
Wow. These are numbers you never hear for Husafell.
No, not often. It's definitely one of the freak events that I'm just good at. And I think for both of us, it's because it's less about strength than it is about grit and pain tolerance. So we're both pretty good at that.
Yeah. For me, it's hard. Anything that's carrying for distance, I like, with the exception of the yoke. I hate the yoke.
I like the yoke.
But anyway, anything where I can hold it in front of me, crush it in, and carry for time, I really like it. Because it does just come down to who's tougher. You can be extremely strong. There's a guy at Nationals that pulled an 883 deadlift, and he carried the Husafell 4 feet. And it's like, wow. Well, then it doesn't matter, So I carried the Husafell 200 feet.
Yep.
So it kind of makes up for other events. I also really like farmer's handles and anything grip oriented, because I like grip events again because they just hurt, and I seem to be more capable of handling pain than others. So,
do you do any specialized grip training? Like, how do you prepare for those type of events?
The way I train grip is when I deadlift, I always go double overhand, and I just choose not to hook grip until I can't. So I will work up anytime I touch a bar, I do double overhand and I won't hook grip. But as soon as it gets hard, I switch over to hook gripping. I take grip out of it, and I don't worry about it. So I never kill my grip, but I train it constantly.
Okay, fair enough. And then you got me intrigued. What is it about yoke that you don't like?
Yoke for me, I have a really good core for about 30 seconds. And so if I can finish a yoke run in 30 seconds, then we're golden. But anytime it takes me longer than that, my core gives out and I can't. It becomes immobile to me. So, I mean, I've put 1,000 pounds on a yoke before and carried it for 20 feet without an issue, but 800 pounds for 80 feet and I'll die because it'll take me too long.
I see. Yeah, I was actually talking to Erin Stoney recently about yoke, and she said the way she does it, and I don't know if this is standard or just her method, but she said she takes in a big breath at the beginning and doesn't let it out till the end because otherwise it ruins her stability. Is that kind of a standard approach?
For sure.
Yeah.
The only other option is cyclic breathing or forcing air in. The air will come out when you try to breathe in anyway. It's
right.
A weird sensation, because of the amount of intra-abdominal pressure. Just opening your mouth, air is going to come out. So you open your mouth, you breathe in, and you just keep going.
Yeah. So I guess that kind of ties in with the time limitations you're talking about. Like, you got to let the air out.
Exactly. So as long as I can hold my breath, yoke's not an issue for me. As soon as I have to breathe, which unfortunately I have to do fairly often, it's kind of difficult.
Yep. Another thing, Matt, that I noticed about some of your IG posts is I felt like you had some pretty impressive natural stone overhead pressing posts in there. Mm-hmm. How does one go about procuring one of those? Because, like, aren't all natural stones, don't they weigh different? The shapes are different. It's not like you have an Atlas made that is a standard shape. So how do you come to the decision of, I want a natural stone of this weight and be able to get it?
Well, for anyone that lives in the country, it's as simple as walking out into a field. For me, I have some stones at my house in a decent range, but it's kind of a normal thing nowadays to see in strongman gyms where they just have some rocks, whether it's cement blocks or actual stones. And so for me, I grew up going on hikes with my brother and doing all the basic stick fighting in the neighborhood with the kids and stuff like that. And so one of the things we would do is, oh, there's a cinder block. Let's pick it up, or let's throw it for height, or let's test each other's strength. So I guess I kind of grew up doing that. But as far as acquiring them,
just gotta go find them.
To find them, you can walk into a quarry and say, hey, I'd like to buy a couple 100-pound rocks, and they'll be like, why? Sure, that's $5. So
yeah, I mean, that's how I did it. I needed to build a retaining wall. I looked around the property. I'm not out in the country, but I said, oh, there's some decent sized stones on the other side of the property. I'll have some fun and get some exercise bringing them over here. We'll build a wall. So I didn't know that everybody did it that way.
Oh yeah.
Cool. So just to kind of wrap it up, I really appreciate all the time that you've both spent with me. I've learned a ton and really had a great time. Take this moment now to kind of promote anything you'd like to, sponsorships, anything that you, how to follow you and so forth.
So I don't have any sponsorships.
Anyone's more than welcome to reach out.
Right. But you can follow me on Instagram. My handle is HailHail11.
Sounds right.
And then I also have my business page on Instagram is HM Portraits, which would be my artwork, or hmanipole.com. If anyone, I mostly draw. I draw a lot of dogs. So if you love your dog and want a portrait, then I am your woman. But I can draw anything provided a good reference photo. So I'm always happy to take more work in that area.
Yep.
Awesome.
For me, it's my Instagram is Big McDougal. It's probably easier to find me on Facebook. I'm in the Starting Strongman group page, and I comment a lot on people. So it's pretty easy to find me. I'm around. As far as sponsorship or any help there, I have nothing and I'm poor. So
you have me.
Yes, I don't have nothing. I have everything and I'm poor. So
let's find someone to help grow together. Go Hard Labs, you guys listening?
Right.
Sure.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, both of you, for a great evening, great chat. Like I said, I learned a bunch, had a great time, and maybe we connect again after your next competition.
Sure. For sure. We'll
awesome. All right, great. Have a nice evening.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So if you like this video and haven't done so yet, please consider subscribing using that button right there. And also stay tuned for some other videos that you might love blooping up right there. This one is the one that YouTube thinks that you will like the best, and this one is the one that I think you will like the best. As always, share this with everyone, and until next time, ciao, homie.